Welcome back to another edition of the Flogsville podcast. Once again, it's a one-on-one operation with myself and the coach of the Guns N' Roses, Ben. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. And you?
Yeah, very well, very well. I might get sick of our own voices with this sort of setup, but no, unfortunately, just the two of us tonight. So, yeah, plenty to go through as we will. So.
Yeah, and lots to dive into. We had some good feedback though on the YouTube video. A bit of that's fire from Ashley Miller. So, and just quietly catching up with Jake on Friday, he was quite impressed with our work. So I think that's we're doing a good job at the moment. We'll pat ourselves on the back, and hopefully we'll get a couple of big inclusions next week, mate. I think just the run home, we need that sort of content.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure we'll touch on those absences as we go tonight. Very convenient for one coach in particular. So,
yes.
But yeah, as you say, Scotty, only 4 weeks to go now. So crunch time for a lot of people.
Absolutely. All right, let's get stuck in with our pig of the week. And it was the Burtons with a 23.09. We flagged really him as one to watch last week in some of your champion data stats, Ben, and he's come out and gone bang with a 23.09. Some outstanding names there, even fielding a couple of rookies due to Tim English being unavailable, and everyone delivered for him.
Yeah, you touched on it beautifully, Scotty. He had, Windhager covering with a 72, which take every day of the week. Big bean pole. A few teams did that. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, he's already out for this week, so where that sits for those coaches now. But, he's posted a really nice score, and that's with a captain there and Mills going below 100. So, lots of things going well for Brad. Obviously, a really important win against Millsy, and he's knocking on the 8 in the 9th position now. So, looking really good for the run home.
Oh, he sure is, mate. Fantastic score there, and of course, we're not going to spend much time on this because it was a putrid 1488 by Total Eclipse of the Heart. Just not good enough at the moment. Anything more to add, mate?
I do have a question for you here, Scotty, in regards to this one. One in regards to 1488. Was there any research here, please?
Zero research. Well, I've really, since the buyers, I've enjoyed not looking at what year the spud of the week was in. So I think we'll continue that. To be honest, you wouldn't have thought you'd get that sort of score in round 15. So, 6 donuts from what I'm seeing here. Wow.
He doesn't lead to anything good, and we've talked a lot about Hills this year, so I don't think we need to extend on that much more.
All right, let's get stuck in to our first matchup, and it was, of course, the Crouching Lions, who are they're just warming up with a 22.06, comfortably beating the B Sharps, mate. What did you see in this matchup?
Yeah, I think for Brett, obviously ticking quite ticking we'll touch on that in a sec, but him in 4th have sort of put a bit of a gap between him in 4th and the rest. Him last week bringing in Luke Jackson, obviously a nice return there on the Thursday night game, at holding English as well. So again, another one to sort of deal with this week, but yeah, a lot of guys going well for him, and even some guys going unders of what they usually do, so a little bit of room for improvement as well, which is a bit ominous for the rest of us. So he, as we've always known, Scotty, he comes home like a freight train, and he's promising to do so again this year.
No, he sure does. Just on the flip side there for the B Sharps, probably it's going to be really difficult for him to make the 8 now with that result. A couple of disappointing performances, but yeah, Sam Doherty's been wonderful, and the Jordan Dawson captain pick, fantastic. From Dale there to back that in. I'm very impressed with that. He'll get Zorko back this week, which is good for him. So, still possible to make the 8, but it's going to be really tough for him.
As well as Darcy Parish and the utility. So we hope that he comes back as well this week. To be any chance, you'd have to trade English and try to get basically 4 wins to get anywhere near finals, you'd think now. So, wait and see where that sits for him.
Excellent. All right. It was your housemate, Hugh Stone, coach of My God, your Liberatore, getting the victory up against the much improved Glen Mountain Fan Club, another one who's sort of in the hunt for top 8 finals chances. But Hugh just solidifying his top 4 credentials, mate.
Yeah, he did. Some interesting sort of training plans during the week. He was another one to keep English and trusted Callum Jamison with the R2 spot this week and returned a lovely 7 points for him. So, yeah, effectively fielding a donut, returning a really nice score there. And again, a below average score with Brayshaw as captain. So plenty of room for improvement for Huey. And yeah, he just wins and moves on and keeps that second spot, which will be really important. But yeah, still got Butters on the side there. So obviously dealing with that moving forward. Obviously, he won't play this week by the sounds, or he might even get up, but I think he'll be training anyway. But yeah, you mentioned there for Newley, that win again. Him and Dale were sort of in the same spot. That'll put him back a fair bit, you'd think. So a minor miracle for those two to be near the end. You never know. So.
Yeah, just for Sean, really, just Butler and D'Ambrosio, a couple of those rookies, not quite going as well as he would have liked, and Noah Anderson. But in terms of everyone else, they were all pretty reasonable, except for Sinclair and Gresh, who have been great servants for Sean. So not a lot that really went wrong. Oh, Christian Salem is unfortunate, but I still think he's a dangerous side, no doubt about it.
I think you're right, Scotty. He's high score in the defence though, 94 this week, which is clearly not standard. So some underperformers there in Crisp and Sinclair. And yeah, you mentioned Salem and Dacos, who are becoming, well, at least Salem is unique, but Dacos is becoming less and less sides. So I could move him on. And yeah, I think you're right. He'll certainly scare a few on the way home.
Absolutely. All right. We touched on this matchup a little bit where we talked about our pick of the week, the Burtons. Let's talk about Smith's Cripps. Liam sits in 10th, still in the mix for that top 8. A decent score, but just couldn't quite get the job done against Brad this week.
Yeah, I mentioned last week, Scotty, he was sort of the team outside the 8 who I thought could do the big sort of run home and scare a few sides. His midfield's looking really, really good with some big names, but bringing in Ryan Marshall for the 1 week hit last, you would think, with 130, returning, yeah, nice return there, but you think from this week forward that might be a little bit of a problem for him, especially keeping English again. So, yeah, he where he's sitting at now, he sort of has to win at least 3, if not 4, of his last 4 games. So it's going to be a bit of a stretch, but he's looking really good on paper. So yeah, who knows? But yeah, makes it hard for him now. So.
Yeah, it does. No, very good points, mate. Let's move on to our next matchup. It was the midfielders up against Armacray. You've done it again. And Sam, thought of pre-buys. We were just flagging that maybe on the decline a little bit, but he's pumped out a 22.83 and has shown, as you mentioned last week, that he's done some real good stuff during the buys, and that showed this week.
Sure did, mate. Yeah, 22.83, and he's F5 and F6, which we alluded to last week, is looking a little bit thin. We're certainly again with SDK and McComb fielding those spots and holding to go in English. So to pump out a near 2,300 with that sort of setup is really promising for Sam. Yeah, Luke, another one who jumped on Luke Jackson. So yeah, he's ticking along quite nicely. The battle for second, it looks like Scotty is really close between him and Huey. So on the same amount of wins there at 10 wins, but about 130 odd points. So that could dictate where they finish at the end of the year. But yeah, he's rolling quite nicely.
No, he sure is. And yeah, a couple of standouts there in Took Miller and Stephen Canelio on Sunday were excellent. In terms of mids, just too many rookies at the moment. He's obviously still holding Zach Butters. But just, yeah, a lot of rookies still there with Saligo and Justin McInerney, a bit unlucky there with COVID. So I think mids, yeah, maybe we're just starting to see a bit of a drop off from him.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously in the forward line there with Clark and Hobbs not topping 30 points, that makes it pretty difficult yeah, I think he's sort of like team depth is coming through, unfortunately now, and probably yeah peter off this season. You'd think based on that, but yeah, he's certainly scared some size this year, Scotty.
He
As
sure
you
has.
so he's almost done some damage for some other sides, but yeah, you'd find it difficult for him.
All right, let's move on to this matchup, and an intriguing one with unprecedented matchup, really, with a coach up against an assistant coach sort of dynamic. And it was the newcomers, the Sisterhoods, with a massive victory up against my Sarong, but feels so wrong at the moment. Just not going along well, but we'll celebrate the Sisterhoods, Ben. They were too good. Two huge inclusions with a few red dots to deal with. They brought in Bontempelli and Luke Jackson on that Thursday night, and I can tell you they were pretty happy about it.
As they should be, yeah. It was a fantastic week of the selection table for the Hoods. A big captaincy difference here in 80. When it's probably 110 or so. So that's a pretty big whack to have a difference there, and even Sinclair getting tagged for a 72 and things like that. So certainly room for improvement for the Hoods. And as we mentioned last week, Scotty, bit of a pivotal match. The Hoods move up into 5th, so the fairy tale continues for them this season, which is they're with a lot of other teams, but sitting really nicely there in 5th. And unfortunately for yourself, Scotty, 4 losses in the last 5, so just teetering on the 8th spot there for you.
Yeah, it's frustrating because on paper my team looks all right, and I felt like I had a good bye period. Obviously, we talked about that in the preview. Having to deal with lots of red dots this week was unfortunate. That I sort of came out the byes, no rookies on field, and I had to play 2 unfortunately this week. So I think we'll get into it with my matchup coming up. It's it's a crunch week for us this week. No more excuses, really. We've got to start winning. We've got a good side, but it's just we need to translate that into wins at the moment. So we'll get into that. And your matchup, mate, a convincing win, 22-10 up against the depleted Rabbitohs, it must be said. Talk us through this matchup and the absence of a coach from this podcast.
Yeah, I feel like we'll probably start there. Obviously, a bit of a history through this podcast is when the Rabbitohs win. We seem to see the coach of said franchise on the podcast the following week. But following 3 donuts, it's not surprising that we're not seeing him tonight, Scotty. So really convenient AGM or something of the like. So we'll it's probably just an extra training run for the boys after that insipid performance. But 3 donuts, we sort of alluded to it last week, is a lot of damage to cover, and even moving forward this week for him. So the one thing he probably got right this week was the captaincy choice in Doherty. But unfortunately not much else going right for him. And in regards to the ladder there, he goes from 5th to 7th, and points 4. Not looking favourable for him. There's a couple of sides below yourself, Scotty, who could jump him pretty quickly. So needs to get the wins rolling. Otherwise, he could be in danger.
Very good, mate. And yourself, watching what was a difficult week with having to field Sam DeConning. Where are we sitting?
Yeah, it wasn't ideal, but I'll take a 49 from him. Slipped to 117. So hopefully moving some midfielders to better scores next couple of weeks, which will be nice. And hopefully hanging around the mark. No injuries would be good as well.
Very good, mate. We all hope for that. Let's, King Kunta had a win up against Total Eclipse of the Heart in the 17th versus 18th matchup. Not much more needs to be said now. We need to talk about this matchup because on Sunday we were at the footy together and we saw the result of Hoffleberry FC coming from behind to beat the Keys, who were looking really strong all weekend until that Sunday afternoon where things started to change. And I'm surprised we haven't heard from Serge.
Yeah, it is bizarre. As you said, Scotty, we're both at the game watching this live, and turned a flick on it after the game, and obviously not really realising that the likes of Houston, Took Miller, Rosie and Witts were all uniques for Serge, and all had really big second halves, and got the chocolates by 11 points, which is reasonably phenomenal when you look at Emerson fielding for a 7 in comparison to Luke Jackson 125 in the ruck. So that's super disappointing for Jake. He was again one of those teams sort of on the outside of the 8, and that's going to put a real spanner in the works for him. So that's a real blow for him. But I think we've got to mention Pendle's here to finish. Probably we've given him a bit of flack this year, but he's come through with 106 right when Serge needed it, and got him a win. So good on him.
No, there you go. No, Pendles has been very good the last couple of weeks, and definitely was a big influence in the Hoffleberries win. All right, our last matchup, another intriguing one going into the weekend with the much improved Team GC up against Phenomenal, who got the win, nicely done, but it just propels him into that top 8 when he sort of hasn't been around the mark this year, and he's found himself in the 8.
Yeah, you know it, Scotty. Only 82 points difference, and Rory Laird, his man, has a lot to a nice captaincy return. He keeps sort of ticking the boxes. This as you mentioned, he's up into 6th now, but he's sort of one of those teams that has to keep winning to sort of keep up there. So he'll obviously take that, but for Zach, a lot of sort of funny names at this time of year. Jackson Mead, still running with John Newcomb, Kadeen Coleman, and your man Mason Redmond, Scotty. So
my man, yeah.
Some unique operators in that setup, but not to be for him this week.
No, all credit to Fenno. We did flag it last week that if anyone's going to make a run, it is him. He's Mr. Consistent, always around the mark, always featuring in prelims, grand finals. So hopefully this is the start for him.
We sorry to interrupt you there, Scotty. We mentioned last week with Fenno during the bye period, we obviously did see the coach, and there was a little bit of head wobble, as there usually is. And there's been some reports this week of a bit of a franchise trip to Melbourne in regards to preparing for finals or something along those lines. So that sort of view of really sort of getting ahead of himself, and we enjoy that content here, Scotty. So hopefully it doesn't catch up with him, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes.
Absolutely. All right, let's look ahead to this weekend. And, well, it's, as we know, Tim English is unavailable, so that's going to affect a few sides. And what a matchup we have, mate. We've got the Crouching Lions, 4th versus, my God, your Liberatore up in 2nd. Let's dive into this one, because this one is worth spending some time on, mate.
Yeah, this is pivotal for the top 4. If basically if Huey wins, that would solidify a top 2 from what I can sort of tell. And for Brett, if he wins, then it really, evens it all up. So both have Tim English to do with, as you mentioned there, Scotty. So we're interesting to see if either team trades or if they hold for long with you. But really, really even. Luke Jackson is a surprise. Not a surprising name, but to have him as such an influential point of difference at this time of year is a little bit bewildering. But big names on each side. Probably looking at Clayton Oliver for Brett as a unique Crows who tend to have a good record against, which might swing this one because it'll be so tight. So I'd probably have to favour him, but with no real conviction behind that.
No, I tend to agree. It's gonna take some serious work from a couple of Hughes guys. I'm a little bit worried about Zach Merritt against Sydney. Last time he played him, he obviously might be a bit of a revenge game for him, but he did struggle last time out. And Brad Crouch is a unique name that features not in too many sides, but I like Brayshaw there up against Port, hopefully to bounce back for a number of coaches. But I think Brett, just the quality of Oliver and Took Miller. Tom Mitchell will be interesting to see how he goes, because again, a number of sides have have the pick. So yes, it'll be interesting what moves these guys make from Tim English.
Sure.
All right, let's talk about the B Sharps up against Smith's Cripps. We're predicting Liam to get a win here.
Yeah, we are, Scotty. But this is really an elimination final for both of these teams based on where they're at. So the loser would be no chance to make the 8, you'd think. And unfortunately, that'll be Dale. Just looking at this, a few too many rookies in comparison to the Mules. You have to back the Cripps in, I think.
Yeah, I agree there, mate. We've got the Glen Manton Fan Club up against Armacrae. You've done a game. Sam should win this, but Sean is always a dangerous team to play against.
Yeah, I think but again, Scotty, a lot of uniques in this one, which and as such, it sort of makes it hard to digest a bit. But yeah, you'd probably favour Sam. And again, depending on the result goes the other way, he could finish in second again after this round. So again, another important round for him.
Absolutely. All right, we move on to another crunch matchup. It's 9th versus 8th here. It is the Burtons up against my rabble of late, and some significant pods here. There's a good amount. Obviously, Brad is got English to deal with. What do you see happening here, mate? It's going to be real tight.
Yeah, crunch, Scotty. You mentioned 8th versus 9th on the same amount of points, and only 300 points difference for the points for. So the winner of this will take a real leg up, and could even jump a couple of spots depending on other results. But I think for Brad, he sort of has to trade Tim English based on that news. Tough one to pick. I think your Melbourne boys there, Scotty, and Oliver and Petrarca again against the Crows should be pretty good. The other guys should be quite steady. And to see Crisp as a unique as well, that I don't think we've said that for a while. So flip a coin for me. I don't know. Probably have to back Brad in after his massive score last week.
Yeah. I think the Sunday games, as much as the Saturday games there with Rory Laird up against my 2 Melbourne boys, I think Himmelberg, who's looked awesome really the last few weeks in that new role, and my nemesis, Will Brodie, up against Connor Rosey and Ollie Wines in that last game. It's going to come down to the wire, I think. So looking forward to that matchup with Brad. Always a pleasure to play the great man. So we'll move on to your matchup, mate. Talking about bringing in some midfielders, you're up against the midfielders.
That is some crisp work. I've just had a look here, to be honest, and there's only 7 matching players, which is quite bizarre, really. I don't really know where to start, but we obviously favour ourselves. Doherty and Laird and Neil looming large as a unique for mids. So we'll put that in our team meeting and go from there.
Very good, mate. Let's move on to the Sisterhoods. It is 5th up against bottom of the table, Total Eclipse of the Heart. I can only see the Sisterhoods winning here, mate.
Yeah, I think so. It looks like they've got about half their team playing tomorrow night with all these green dots on my screen, Scotty. Bulldogs occupying the forward line. They should be too good, especially with Bruce coming off the bench, you'd think. So, another win. And that will go a long way to solidifying a 5th or 6th spot for them. So,
important week for them, and unfortunately having to deal with CD. We'll wait and see what the Sisterhoods do, of course. Let's move on. Another crunch matchup. Not an elimination final, but I think it is possibly for Jake. The Rabbitohs up against the Keys. What's going to happen here, mate?
Yeah, this is as crunchy as it gets, Scotty. Rabs loses. I think he could potentially fall out the 8. Being 5th last week, and for Jake, it's simply a must win. So, I'll be honest, I've just had a look at Jake's team and seeing Mark Blitzars and Luke Jackson occupy really tickles me. But hopefully they return some nice scores for him. But again, Tim English on the bench there. You probably think you have to trade him based on needing to win. So I think Jake might win this. I think Rabs has got still too many donuts, or not donuts, but too many holes to cover. I think in line especially. So he should have a lot of money based on his trades last week. And, he'll bring in two good options. But I think Jake will win here.
Yeah, and Jake, one of the few coaches that has Tom Stewart to deal with, unfortunately, with his suspension. So Jake's got English and Stewart to sort of move on. It'd be interesting to see who we can get. But I think, it would. I think Jake just here, just maybe watch Jack McRae. Will he go straight C on the Thursday night game? I think that's always a fun time to watch to see what happens there.
Well, especially with Lockie Neal as the VC, so the same game.
Yeah, it could be interesting. All right, King Kunta up against Phenomenal to get another win, mate.
Yeah, not much time on this one. I think he'll keep rolling, Tom.
Very good, and this is an intriguing matchup as well. We've used that word a lot, but Hoffleberry FC, after their wonderful victory last week, up against Team GC. What's going to happen here? Let's have a talk about this one.
Yeah, again, an extraordinary amount of pods. Sort of 8 or so matching. So some really big names in this. So I could go large either way. I for some reason, I'm going to back Zach in with no real specific proof there. But why not? He'll trade English. Why not? If he's listening to this, he will anyway. So another one to utilise the loophole really effectively. Hopefully, he takes that McRae C off. But we'll go Zach.
Nah, fair enough. Just so many pods. So many pods. Those Sydney boys up against Essendon. Luke Parker in game 250. Maybe a bit of milestone action for him. And then Jack McRae in his 200th. I know some coaches will be hoping he goes well. I certainly don't. That's about it, mates. What a round we've got to look forward to. Teams will drop tomorrow night. Hopefully not too much carnage, and everyone can field their best teams this week, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck to all, and we'll hopefully see some big results for certain teams and dictate the finals positions. So good luck.
Absolutely. Good luck and go well. See ya.